What's up, y'all? It's your boy Nick G.
You caught me off. I was making faces.
AKA Mr. PXF himself. Do you hear me? And I'm here with my wife, Baby Gals. Only I'll call her Baby Gal.
Dominique. Dominique for the rest of you.
Her name is Baby Gal. You gotta get that changed on your birth certificate. You gotta get that changed. So what we're gonna be doing here, y'all, is I just recently did my first bodybuilding show. And so what we wanted to talk about today was what Baby Girl thought about it. So there's always this conception, right, about bodybuilding that people have that, you know, when you get on stage, what do you think versus what it actually is, right? So I think sometimes there's a bit of a misconception there, but I kind of want to go through that a little bit today and see what she thought about it. We'll talk about what I thought about it, and we'll actually kind of break down the show. We'll have it here. We're looking at it on the screen. We'll kind of talk you guys through it, and then we'll also give you some snippets of it also in a video of me doing some of my routine. So without further ado, we're going to get right on into it. So we got it pulled up right here on YouTube. Let me get the ads out the way. Let's see. Here we go. But I can tell you, for the very first thing for me is right off the bat, I think that, what is this? The wrong thing? Oh, it's just more ads.
No, it's Kyra.
Is that
what
her?
happened to your thing that you had pulled? I was like,
Let's
she's
hit it
pretty.
because I was like, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Let's try this. Here we go. Because I had it pulled up on this.
It did.
Let's go full screen. All right. Well, first of all, I did not know it was going to be live on YouTube. So it is live on YouTube. We'll put the link below. But I think first off, for me, I think it was pretty cool. Just the whole, first of all, the whole ambiance of getting prepared for it was absolutely fun to me. I mean, even the process of the dieting, getting ready for the show. I think it was the build-up of the show which actually made me feel, I guess, in a way, very excited in a way. I'm not typically an excited person, but it did kind of get me excited because I was ready. I was more excited. I think it was anxiety.
You was anxious.
Yeah, I was ready to get up there. I was ready to get up there. I was ready. You know, I felt it. Like, I felt like I came lean. I think I was spot on with my coach. He helped me get there. So I was just ready to step on stage for the first time to see how it felt. That was the main thing.
It's a shadow cast across your face.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. I see. Yeah.
The sun just hit a different spot, just did, and it like cast that shadow across your face.
Yeah.
Like literally just did.
You got to do some tricks or something with the screen.
I'll get right.
So the show that I was in was ANBF, American National Bodybuilding Federation, first Calorie Classic. It was actually out in Killeen, Texas. It's the one we did. So, I mean, just looking at it right now, you know, I first walked out on stage. I thought I was going to be up first. This is part of being an amateur, right? And just the very first time, just novice, right? Don't know, green, right? I had already got my glaze put on, me and one other guy, and we're standing out there in front of the crowd already in our trunks, so they're already seeing the physique and everybody else is covered up, right? So it's like, oh my God, it's like, I guess that's just part of it. You know, I should have waited to get that glaze like right before I went on stage. But
you thought you were actually going on stage.
Yeah, I thought I was actually going on stage first, you know. But turns out I wasn't, because I was an amateur, a true novice, right? So that was my very first show, and the bodybuilding pros went first. So since they went first on stage, the actual novices of the first time went second. And that made me have to wait. So I was already pumped, right? I was freaking ready to go. I had my gummy bears. Eating my gummy bears, had my bands, I'm pumping up. Just to find out, nope, you gotta wait. I'm like, oh my God, it's going away. Losing my vascularity. I'm losing it. But it was like, it was what it was. I guess at the end of the day, I mean, that's part of learning, right? So I'm standing out on stage. I'm just looking weird at this point. I'm the only one standing in his thong. Well, I forgot he was over there. Yeah. He is too, right?
Sun's out, buns out.
Sun's out, buns out. All right, let's go ahead and get to some of the show. That's because when it first started, they basically was just talking us through, the stage presence piece of it. So what we're supposed to do when you walk out, where you're supposed to go, where you're supposed to stand, and it was real professional, just like what the pros do, right? So it was pretty cool to see it that way and actually be a part of it, right? So we're gonna get on into it. Let's see. I think it's about.
The sun is doing this thing right now. It's so much better once it's all the way.
That's why I put that light on to try to get it more consistent.
Did it look yellow on the video?
Nah.
You want to cut it on? It's just getting too dark. If it was like 12, like it'd be the perfect sunlight.
Right. See, that's why. I mean, that looks a lot better to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's better than having a shadow because it kept getting worse and then it started covering my face.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Me, you can't see us.
Right.
That's I guess do we want to have? We can have a little bit of audio in here. It doesn't matter.
Oh, of us watching? Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Guess we can turn that down a little bit. Huh? Turn the audio up on here. All right. So this one right here is going to be the pros are coming up first. So a little bit about my perspective. I'm standing backstage with these guys, right? So I'm already pumped. I'm ready to go. Juices are flowing. Boom! I'm ready to pop on stage, but too bad I've got to go next. It's second, so I got to wait till they go first. So I'm actually standing backstage watching these guys get pumped up. They're ready. They're about to get ready to get on stage, and quite naturally, they're pros. So I don't see zero nervousness in their eyes. I'm like, I'm over there shaking. I'm like, I'm freaking ready to go. They're like, we finna do this, right? So I guess that's just the way pros are. I guess when you do it, I guess they've done it so many times. I don't know. But didn't seem like they had any nervousness. I was nervous. I was a little nervous. A little bit. Once I got on stage though, it's like the nervousness went away. It's like if you've ever competed before, right? And I think most athletes can probably attest to it. Or anybody who in any form, way, or fashion competes or performs. The moment you step on stage to do your thing, it's like everything just goes quiet, right? And it's just focused in because now you're there, right? And it's like tunnel vision at that point. So for me, everything is blocked out, right? So I can hear some stuff, but mainly it's like muffled. It's blocked out, right? And I'm completely focused.
Yeah.
So even when I played football in college, when people say, yeah, you hear the fans, yeah, you can kind of hear the fans chanting and yeah, but for the most part, it's like you're so zoned in on what you're doing. You're worried about the person across from you, right? And doing the best you can. Like, you don't even think about that, right? So as soon as I stepped on stage, it immediately went away. It just did. It just immediately went away. So like seeing these guys step out here on stage, I guess I'm gonna ask you a question, right? So what was your take on it? So you sitting out in the audience,
right? You
looking at this when you see these guys step out on stage. Now this is natural, right? So and it's I don't have anything against natural versus enhanced, but this is a natural show. So quite naturally, some of the physiques you're going to see are not going to be as how do I want to say that? Extreme, right? They're not from a physique standpoint. They're not going to be extreme, right? They're not going to be extremely big. They're going to be, something that seems a little bit more achievable. Now, naturally, these guys still have really good genetics, right? But it's, it's not going to be as extreme. So thinking about it, you sitting in the audience, you looking at this, your first perspective when these guys, when they walk out from your perspective, what do you see? What do you think first?
Well, okay, so this was my first time going to a bodybuilder show. So his first show was the first show I seen. And initially, like when you see like some basically almost naked people walk out on the stage, all glazed up and oiled up, I got like this weird vibe. It's a little weird, like whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that. I can see that though.
But I mean, but this is the first time I've ever been to a bodybuilder show. So when they first came out, I was just like, okay, so we here. I guess I'm doing this. This is a lot.
This is a lot.
And it's like, I don't know. I didn't feel like super uncomfortable necessarily. I guess I was just kind of like, okay, whoa, like shocked. And then it's like, okay, as the show continued, I was like, okay,
right.
It's not meant to be like that, right,
Right. And I think part of it too is because like once they start posing and you start to like really see that they're really trying to like show a physique or the hard work that they put in. I think some of that perception of that, this is weird thought process kind of goes away, and it turns into more of that thought process like, hey, these guys have worked really hard in dieting and to get to where they want to be. They're literally competing against each other, right? This is more of a competition to see just how much hard work they put in over the past few months. I think part of that process that you've seen me go through, I think for somebody who has not seen somebody go through the process, that weirdness may have been prolonged.
You think?
Yeah, I think it would be, because I think the fact that you seen me go through the process and the hard work that it took.
I could see that.
Initially, this being weird makes sense because you're shocked, right? You've never seen it. But as you start seeing these guys and noticing that they're really competing against each other, the hard work that I put in, I'm going to have to do the same thing when I get on stage, right? I'm going to have to work just as hard on stage as I did off stage to beat the guy next to me, right? So I think then you start realizing it's like it's business, right? It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's literally, this is a competition. But I think that's also the same as what I was explaining to you about the nervousness piece, right? Is that nervousness goes away because initially you think about, okay, it's the first time, right? I'm getting on stage. Well, when you step on stage, it's like it's business as usual. It's business now, right? So you're really trying to be better than the next person, and you become tunnel vision. And I think it's the same kind of like for you sitting out in the crowd. You're thinking like, hey, this is weird. But then when you really start looking at the fact when they start posing and doing their thing, it's like
it faded.
It fades really quick. But I think how quickly it faded had to do with the fact that you seen some of the process. Me going through it, and it's like, okay, Nick's gonna have to do this in a minute. And he's competing for something. You see what I'm saying? He not just beating the person, but getting the bodybuilding pro card, right? Is another thing. So I think this is pretty cool. All right, so looking at it, okay, so I thought it was a little weird. Then it kind of settled in, like, okay, these guys are working hard. They're really competing against each other. This is now serious. So now, does your perspective start to switch to really comparing the physiques, or how does that work for somebody in the audience?
Well, okay, so there's a way that the judges look at comparing the physiques, and then me as a person who don't know how to like judge in that way, I compared the physiques when they first walked out.
Okay.
So when they first walked out, I was kind of like boom boom. I sized up like.
Who won?
You know what I'm saying? You got in this particular competition, it's kind of like I sized it up when they walked out.
Okay.
And then from that point, it was more so like posing, like their posing styles. I was more so comparing as opposed to their physiques, because the physique thing kind of was like,
I guess that makes sense, right? It was like a given.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a given.
I didn't want to say that, but it was kind of like a given. So I didn't really like look too much at like, their vascularity and all that kind of stuff. I was just like looking at their posing styles and like who was holding the pose longer and who was more steady and who wasn't falling out of poses and all that kind. I was looking more so at that after a while. Yeah. So but like
kind of like he fell out of his pose just a little bit.
But he fell out of his pose, and then
I can say though, I did not fall out of any poses though.
You didn't fall out of any poses.
Like
You did
I almost did, but I didn't. I don't know if I almost did.
You locked up.
Yeah, I did. I locked up on a couple of them.
But you didn't fall out of anything.
No, I didn't fall out of any of them. And I know I had some, like I shook a little bit in some of it. I don't know how that transferred to the crowd.
To the crowd,
but I mean,
to me,
like,
anyways. First, when I was sitting in the crowd, I couldn't really tell as much because we were like
so far away, kind of.
Sort of. It
like
was like,
distance?
yeah, it wasn't like we couldn't see any like minor shaking.
Oh.
If we seen anything that looks like shaking, it more so looked like more so strain, like making sure like I'm holding the pose, not like shaking. Like
you're not actually,
yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you. That makes sense. But I was saying that to say is like it was tough staying in the pose
for as long as
right, and so like you do shake a little bit staying in that pose, right? Because I mean, people don't necessarily think about it. They think about, okay, well, yeah, you just lift your arm up and that's a bicep,
right?
But in bodybuilding, and here's another thing, right? The misconception of that, right, is just, oh, you show your bicep, but it's not really that way. There's ways to show the bicep, right?
Yeah.
So based on the angle you move your arm and all those different things, it actually puts a lot more stress on the body than you can imagine. Mm-hmm. So you imagine this is just one muscle, the bicep, right? But if I gotta hold both biceps like that at an angle, and I gotta like arch my back and do all these different things,
because that's the thing.
It puts a lot of strain on the body.
I don't think people realize is like, even though they say bicep, or even if they are trying to get you to do a pose that's supposed to like show a particular group of muscles, the rest of the muscles still need to be tight. So you don't like let your legs be loose because you're showing your back.
That's exactly right. The entire pose, you're presenting an entire package. The whole body is actually locked into place.
Yeah,
and you
very
got
contracted.
Everything's contracted, right?
Yeah.
But they may be looking at a specific body part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and see this one right here, that was probably one of the harder poses for me, but I think I got that one this year.
I feel like that's one of your best poses.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm gonna hit it better this year though.
Yeah.
This upcoming year, which is pretty much the hands on thigh ab. Is really what that's called.
Now, of course, like what's the most muscular?
Yeah, most muscular is probably my best.
Yeah, your best.
I get a lot of reactions from the crowd too when I did that.
The crazy thing is, like when Nick first came out and started posing, y'all see, we'll put a clip in, but he was doing just like a mandatory pose. He was just doing like the mandatory side pose, and then he did it. I was like, dang, that looks good. I was like, what? Like, he's not even actually doing, like, he's not actually getting into the posing yet. Right. He's like just doing the mandatory, but it looks good. I was like, that looks amazing. That's a really good pose for you.
And that's the thing too, like, so like, you know, you put all of that work into doing the poses. It really does matter because it is sometimes it's how you present the physique, right? Because not every show you walk out on stage is hands down,
right? You
know who won, right? And in this particular show, I think it was sort of that way in a way, but as you get steeper and steeper competition,
right?
It's not as it becomes cipher. That's exactly right. So how you present the muscle,
right,
is going to be key. So that's why even in this show, I wanted to make sure that I focused on being like a pro and presenting the muscle like a professional. Right. So everything I wanted to do, I wanted to look more professional than the professional.
Do you think you did?
As a natural. I think I did. Like when I look at it, I think I did. I think I actually looked just as professional as the professional bodybuilder that was in the show. Not saying he didn't look professional. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as a first time performer, I don't think people could look up there and tell that I was a first time performer.
No.
I think that they would have thought that I was a pro. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And it, like, not speaking on the other person, but I think that looking at me, you would probably have thought I was a pro.
Right.
He's
so silly.
He is really. He just. just high octane type guy, right? He's just always full of energy. Me, I'm like I'm like dying after doing the poses, right? Cause it takes a lot of work. It really does.
I didn't realize how long it took to get to yours.
I know it takes a little while. I'm gonna go look because this is his posing routine. So this is the next one. It's us right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll go back. All right. So here it is. Here is your boy coming up. Pose routine. All right. So you can hear him say it in here too, is that, you know, this is bodybuilding open, so in the open you get an opportunity to become a professional. And it's not based on whether or not you win, it's based on whether or not the judges believe you have the quality of muscle, for one, and that you fit all the parameters or criteria of being a professional bodybuilder, right? So that's more than just the muscle and the aesthetics. It goes into like symmetry and things like that, but it's also how you pose, a lot of different things. It's got a lot of factors that go into it, right? So here's me.
I'm not gonna say what I was about to say.
So I think right here I didn't really know what to do there. I just wanted to make sure I showed the physique as best I could in a few poses. Bam, and I just wanted to make sure I locked them in. So when I did that, when I first come up, my whole thought process was not to overdo anything. You know me, right? I didn't want to overdo anything there because I wanted to save everything for stepping out on stage. So I wanted to make sure that everything that I did, yes, it was aesthetic, but I didn't want to be like, you know, getting down on one knee and doing all this funny, crazy stuff, right? I just wanted to be simple, but make sure that that's good. I like
that's the
that
point
part.
where I was screaming.
But I wanted to make sure everything was crisp, right? Because sometimes simple is better. Before you start doing, you know, all these extravagant things. What about it?
How now it looks versus there.
Oh, like talking about the the definition in the back. Yeah. See, I was just focusing on being as professional as I could. I mean, everything that I did, I wanted to make sure that it looked good. You know, somebody even told me that watched this at one point. They said, "Man, it looked like you put a lot of work into your posing. Like it took you longer to get in the pose, but when you actually hit the pose, it looked professional."
Oh, for real? They watched it live.
They watched it. Yeah,
that's cool.
And I did. I mean, that was part of my focus, right? It took me a little longer, and it's not like I took like 10 seconds, right? Maybe like 1 or 2 seconds longer. I didn't rush. No, I didn't. Yeah. I didn't rush. I definitely didn't because I wanted to make sure I was hitting them right.
Right.
Yeah. So like at this point, I'm completely locked in, right? Like once I stepped out of the middle, I'm completely locked in. I'm not even thinking anymore. I'm just listening to the poses and being the best I can be right here. And then you can see it's starting to become work now, right?
Right.
It's work now. So when so your thought process when I first walked out on stage, what was you thinking? What went through your head?
It wasn't professional.
What were you thinking?
I mean, okay, it wasn't professional when I very first thought, but he looked really solid. Like when you see someone like standing next to you, as opposed to once they get underneath the lights with the glaze and all that kind of stuff, it's a lot different. Yeah. So it's like, honestly, when you first walked on stage, it was kind of like, dang, like you kind of see it in a different light. I feel like. So it was like he looks really good. Like he legit he came up here and he was ready because you looked really good.
Kind of like that's like where I belong. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like business. Like we said, business as usual.
Yeah.
You step up there. It's like that hard work that you seen me going through is now presented on the stage, right?
Yeah. And two, I was impressed with I feel like I was impressed with like how you carried out like actually competing, like the posing and everything. Like you, to me, it was like really clean. It wasn't like you were falling out and all that kind of stuff. You were really trying to present, you know. So I was a proud wife. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like when he came out, everybody knew. You know, I feel like when he came out, everybody knew what was going on. You know, and that's not to say they don't have anything to do with anybody else. But as far as him,
and that's the thing, right? Know? Because and I'm glad you pointed that out because, like, there's no disrespect to you step on that stage, you've went through a lot of several months of dieting, a lot of hard work, training. And there's a lot of things that plays a role into bringing a full package on stage, and it is nothing short of a lot of work, right? And so when we speak on that, that's why a lot of times I quite naturally want to veer everything to myself and what I did, because I don't want to take anything else from anybody else, because knowing that they really did work hard, right?
Yeah. The funny thing too.
What happened on the lighting there?
What is going on with our lighting? And why is this? Look how good that looks when you're that close.
A lot better. Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Now, if I sit back slowly, maybe it'll maintain. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, but I think so. Where we left off was that we speak about my physique and not necessarily other people's, right? Because there's a lot of hard work that went into the prep. Right.
Oh.
We know that piece, right? So it's not. Yes, we let the judges compare the physique. Not saying that people can't. I think people naturally does judge your physique compared anyway. But knowing that people put that hard work in there for sure. I mean, I personally don't pass any criticism. I think they really went.
Because I couldn't do it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's not something It's not something that's easy to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what. Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. Another thing I feel like I noticed, like the contrast between like prep and the prep week and going on him going on the stage, is that like during the prep week he just seemed so sick to me. Like he was like drained and just like tired and everything, and it was like I just want he just like seemed like he needed some. You know, like I just want to feed him soup and like some beef stew and some cornbread and make him feel better.
Well, because and it's,
he was just
like
he was just like bundled up under the covers, and like he would try to go to sleep and he couldn't, and was just kind of tossing and turning. I was like, oh, my little baby. And then it's like he goes on stage and it's like this big monster. Like, he all right. I'm doing all this like wanting to coddle him. That man is okay. You can get on stage with that same diet, and he's up there. I was like, I'm not doing.
It's like you preserve all your energy for this.
Literally, he had zero energy. Like he was just like, like under the covers, just barely moving, just kind of. And I was like, damn.
And that's what I think. Like I think honestly, you have a different. That pose actually look a lot better. Like looking at it, but I honestly think your perspective is interesting, right? Because most people's first time experience, I would imagine, most people's first time experience in a bodybuilding show is not actually seeing the person go through the prep. Also, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you just see what they bring on stage, but you don't necessarily see what they go through to stand on stage, right? And not just anybody stand on stage. I mean, like literally, they're bringing tip-top performance, right? Which means that what she's referring to is the diet in itself becomes extreme those last couple weeks, right? So you're working to get, your calories are very low. You're trying to take, glycogen and stuff, out of the muscle. And really what you're trying to do is optimize, your physique, right? And so in order to do that, you only put glycogen in the body when it needs it, right? So you're literally filling up just like a car, right? You literally filling up just enough to get to where you want to go. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because the rest of the time, you're trying to stay in that caloric deficit so that you can continue to strip fat away, continue to let the body prioritize leaning you out.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So at that time, hunger levels go up, sleep is interfered with.
Yeah.
So it's hard to sleep because hunger levels go up. So it becomes very tough to function, right? Because it's just like I said, it's just like a car. If you only put enough gas in it to go 10 miles, well, that's just enough five there, 5 back, and the car is empty again.
That's
right?
the story of my life right now.
Well, it's
With
definitely
these gas prices
right now. Put gas enough at the Walmart and get back.
Nothing more.
We ain't gonna go nowhere else today. That's it. But literally, that's the way it is, right? And then so I would go work out, and by the time I worked out, I've depleted all the energy that I put in myself. So the rest of the day, I'm just kind of it's tired, you know. And that was one of the reasons I had to take vacation, you know, to try to, because I was just unsure how it was gonna all end up. But once you get on stage, you know, misconception, right, that people have is that you're gonna be eating like healthy foods, a bunch of, you know,
like salads
and chicken and even, you know, some people think that you're gonna be eating a lot of rice and corn and, you know, all those different things, but they're trying to be healthy now.
Yeah.
It's not like that. In order to fill out, it's let's just be honest, it's junk food, right?
It's a lot of junk.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
he ate worse getting ready to go on stage than he does like in just regular.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Gummy worms, chocolate, all type of stuff. I mean, when you think about like drinking the Pedialyte and drinking, you know, and eating, what was it, the pickles and the rice cakes wasn't so bad, but the gummy bears, the chocolate candy bars, I would think the peanut butter, I never ate that much peanut butter. Even drinking like Gatorades and stuff like that, you know, I still got the 0 calorie, but I probably, you know, realistically, I didn't have to have it, you know, the 0 calorie, right? Because everything was full leaded. Like, I don't even eat full leaded jelly. I was eating full leaded jelly.
Yeah.
Before I went to bed, I ate a half a pack of gummy bears. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do that. If I do something like that, first of all, it's not gummy bears because I wouldn't choose to eat gummy bears. It'd be something, you know what I mean? I'd be trying to eat a burger or something typically, and it'd be a chicken sandwich. Not
like
even
not a burger,
a grilled chicken sandwich. You know? But like, when you think about a pig out session, right? And it's like, how much candy and junk food can you eat? And you know, people are like, oh man, I can eat a lot of that. I can eat a lot of it, which, I mean, I can, but I was so tired of it after that because, I mean, you think about eating a half a bag of gummy bears before you go to bed.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a big bag. It's not like a small.
Yeah, it was big.
You talking about
it was like
big
a $10
bag? Yeah, big bag of gummy bears. You know, and I ate that, and I still woke up lighter that morning.
Yeah.
I was still lighter that morning. Because right before I went to bed, I had a half a pack of gummy bears, 2 rice cakes with peanut butter and jelly on them. Right before I went to bed. And then right before I got on stage, I ate the other half of that gummy bear bag.
I didn't know you was back there eating that.
Yeah, I was. And I had ate those, the Hershey's.
Yeah.
I ate those. I saved the peanut butter cup for after, but I did eat that. So when I got done, when that show was over, I literally just wanted like sandwiches. Like that's what I went and got, like sandwiches and chips. And it had turkey on it. It had lettuce, tomato. It was like, that was the healthier stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, so question, the routine piece of it. So what did you think about the routine? When you seen me do the routine and all the work we put into it, what did you think about it?
I could have cried. Well, okay, so if y'all look at like, y'all not gonna be able to hear the audio just for copyright reasons, but he was first off, but as a whole, let me just do that first. As a whole, I mean, when they do the routine, it's kind of like the opportunity for them to like be solo on stage, and they put music. You know, when you put music to something, it just creates like a whole ambiance.
Right.
And so, with the song that he chose, he did He did Bleed in Love, like a slowed version of Bleed in Love, which that's already kind of like sets a certain mood. Mm-hmm. But then his actual posing or whatever was, first of all, the posing was good. We worked really hard on tweaking your poses and stuff for that song. Yeah, we did. So I don't know, once it's kind of like a display of all the hard work, you got to realize I watched him go down from like 360 pounds to this. So, I mean, I was proud. It was kind of like a little moment to be like, I'm really proud of you. Like, you doing your thing up there, you know? So, I don't know. It was like slightly emotional. Yeah. So Nick came up with his routine. He had been doing his routine, and then during that last week or two, he kind of started having me look at it while he was doing it as well. And so we had started making little tweaks to the point where it was like such minor things that it's like you could easily like, you know, forget about it or not do it or, you know, something like that.
But they have a big impact.
But they have a really big impact.
That's right. And
so we were making like little tweaks to it, and it was kind of like when he was getting ready to do his routine, I was like, okay, I hope you remember to, you know, because it's so many muscles. It's like, it's kind of hard to, like for someone who isn't in that realm like me, it's kind of hard to say, I hope he remembers that little small thing, because he's contracting so many muscles. Like you can easily forget to contract that little one piece. You know, that little area. That's like, right. But it makes such a big impact because, like when we made those changes, it immediately went from like a good routine to like almost like a statuesque type of routine. Like it made a big impact. Yeah, and so like really once he went on stage and he was getting ready to do it, I was kind of like, okay, you know, we got this, you know. I was kind of hoping that he remembered everything, and then once he actually went through and he did it, and he was contracted.
Speaking of, here he is here.
Yeah, and he was like leaning back for it. Like even in the crowd, I was like, lock it in, lean it back, you know. But he was actually doing it, so it was like I was like, okay, yeah, we're good. And then I was like, I helped him with that part. You know? But yeah, no, I was glad to see that you kind of remembered everything, because we made a lot of tweaks.
Right.
And then too, I feel like he would have ended up naturally doing it maybe anyway, just because he had gotten used to contracting once he got on the stage. So I feel like although we did like, you know, consciously like make that effort to make sure he was doing it during the routine, I honestly feel like even if we didn't, you would have still ended up doing it, because
you think so?
I feel like so just because.
But see, even watch this this piece here, right? Because you can click back and forth right here like this still, can't you?
Huh?
I was just gonna try to tap it back instead of having to go. What was that little? You know, you move back a few seconds.
I think it has to be small.
Oh, okay, it's all right. But I was gonna say right here, even when I did the leg piece, right? Remember we talked about me like making sure that I showed the hamstrings during that presentation, right? And you could see me do it. You could actually see that I was working on it. So right here it is, right here. I just want to go right in front of it. You can actually see, for like sure. I actually like, so how you can see the side of the quad. You can see when I went into that pose that I literally did it. I thought about it, right? I literally actually did it. So I'm thinking on stage, right? Yeah. So see, watch here, bam, see it right there. Yeah. See, I actually forced it to contract. So I'm actually thinking about what we talked about while I'm on stage, right? Yeah.
As far as like the little slight movements that display it better, I feel like that was a big game changer when we were like going through that routine, because it's like, you know, it's about what the judges can see at the end of the day. That's right. Like you can be contracted all day, but if you turn the wrong way and they can't see it, then it don't mean nothing. That's right. Know? So.
And that's just this piece. I just feel it right there at that point. It's just you getting toward the end, you feel good about yourself, you locked it in, and then you end it, or you end it with the good pose, with your favorite pose.
I like when they do the little leg, you know, like the little leg, tightening up their quads, like that little wobble that they do with their thigh muscle.
That's exactly right. I think I did it on the ab and thigh pose when we had did the ab and thigh pose that one time.
The ab and thigh pose.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did it on that one. Where was it when I went against the pros here at the end?
Yeah, that was towards the end. That was after you had already won the opener.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, we seen this piece, and I think that's where I was at when we actually performed. We did the pose down, right?
Pose down.
The pose down. So like, okay, so let's just talk through this real quick. So you see me walk out here with the pro. So what are you thinking?
What am I thinking?
What goes through your head when you see now Nick is performing with against the pro, right? So now naturally, our physiques still differ. Mm-hmm. However, he's gonna be closer. He's closer than the other guy, right?
I think me, along with the rest of the crowd, I think we were excited because we were like, okay, this is the one we want to see. This is what we want to see. Some compete, like go, right. Like that. So everybody was like, oh yeah, like rubbing their hands together, getting ready. And so, I don't know. I was excited. Like I had ran to the front row with my camera. I was excited. And the funny thing is, the other guy's coach was like sitting right next to me. I did not know that was that man's coach. I was talking so much stuff. But then like naturally as you do, like when you got somebody in the competition, not like being disrespectful to anybody, but I was talking stuff. I was like, you better, like,
I think that's part of competitiveness,
that's just all it is.
You don't mean any disrespect toward the other person.
It's
but you're into it, right?
And his coach was right. His coach was right next to me, which was so funny. But no, he was cool. I was like, cause I wasn't out of the way or anything, but I was like, oh Lord.
Right. Well, I think part of it too is just like, all right, so we can give you an analogy for that, right? So think about your favorite sports team, right? Your favorite sports team that year is really good, and they play a team that maybe is not so good. You expect them to win, right? So in that particular case, you just kind of like, okay, make sure, you're doing certain things right. Yeah. The plays are crisp. This is crisp. This looks good. But what happens when they play that team that's closer to their level, right? So now it becomes a true competition, right? And I think at that particular piece, all the things that you did before, like those, making the little nuances, the crisp things that you do, are now important, very important, right? Every little bit is important, right? Because now your team has to perform that much better so that they can beat the other team, because if not, they'll lose, right? So I think that is kind of what happens here, right? So when I step on the stage with this pro, it's kind of like everything that I've done before, the little nuances, the being crisp on the poses and everything being sharp is that much more critical, right? Because we can't lose, right? Because his body type, not necessarily that he matches me physique-wise, but as far as like his aesthetics, his overall presentation is going to be comparable to mine. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So everything that I do has to be that much better. Right. So I mean, like, I think there is some known differences, right? When you like obvious differences, right? In like our leanness and stuff like that. I think honestly, I feel like he's naturally lean. I'm not naturally that lean, so it takes me. I'm just gonna speak on this, right? I'm a fat boy. I'm a fat guy, right? That just is what it is. I like to eat. I put on weight. It's not easy for me to take fat off. Build muscle is a genetic thing. Like I build muscle quick. I hold muscle easy. It's just genetics. The way my body's laid out is genetics. But I don't naturally get lean. When I get lean, I think it looks really good. However, it's not easy for me to do. It takes a lot of work. Looking at his physique, I feel like and it's just me looking at it, he seems like a person who is naturally lean. You see what I'm saying? Like some of the nuances of his structure just seems like he's just naturally lean, right? Even when I look through some of his past photos, I've never seen him really heavy, right? So I think he's a natural, and naturally that natural lean physique like that, I think, you have to really work hard to get to that level of leanness to be competitive with them, right? So I think when you look at us from a muscle standpoint, a structure standpoint, I feel like we're comparable, right? So everything has to be that much better. It's like, so let's just look at this, like look at our legs, right? So his legs are not as big as mine, but he do have lean legs, right? So when he tightens his legs up, you can see his legs are lean, right? So in order for me to beat him in this fashion, right, my legs have to be bigger, stronger. I have to contract them more, right? That leanness becomes critical, and how I present them become critical, right? If I was standing next,
I said that was your part right there.
Oh, what was that? Oh yeah, that was funny. All right, so we got to get into that. Pose down piece.
Pose down.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, when they did the pose down, I didn't know what I was doing. I know what a pose down was, but I really was thinking about, hey man, just show your physique, be crisp, be simple. And I'm thinking, okay, we finna go at it, but hitting the routine poses, right? And I figured quite naturally some of them wouldn't be like a part, like the mandatory pose, but maybe we'd be like at least both be standing up and like, you know, really hitting some of them crisp. But the moment it starts, this guy, he shoots out, right? Just hit a freakishly cool, I think, to me, I thought it was cool looking. However, did it show his body the way he wanted to? I don't think it did. I don't think it did. Yeah. But it was a cool pose, right? Because it was swift. The first thing he did, he jetted off to the side. I see this dude out the corner of my eye, and he jets out to the right. And I'm not looking at him because I'm posing, right? I don't see till later what he's actually doing, but I'm like, oh my God, this guy's obviously a pro. Whatever he did, he just, as soon as he said pose down, that sucker darted. And he like instantly went into like, you know, a Johnny Bravo style pose, right? I was like, oh my God, like this dude is out here like really performing, right? And that's good. You should be doing stuff like that, right? You should. But I feel like, and don't, I'm not saying anything bad about it. I think he's got a really good physique. I think some of the poses that he did, they didn't quite show his physique off the way he wanted to, because I think they're a little bit too fancy, if that makes sense. Sometimes fancy, I think, doesn't always show off the physique the way you want.
It's more for theatrics.
Yeah, more for theatrics. And it looks good on it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it looks bad. I just think that it didn't show it off the way that he probably wanted it to. And that's why to be honest with you, that's why I veered away from it. Because there are certain things that you want to show, and you want to make sure that things are crisp, right? So I felt like getting down on my knees and doing any of those type of things would have taken away from what I wanted the judges to see, which was the quality of muscle that I have, the density, the structure. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think those are two different things, right? So let's put it this way, it's kind of like, I can make an analogy about that, right?
You can go.
I can find.
If Nick can't do nothing else, he can come up with an analogy for something.
I guess I could in a way, but it's kind of like, it's almost like you think about a woman in a sense, right? So like, what do you want to present as a package, right? And so if you look at the woman in different situations, right? You want to present a certain package. Right. So like when you go to bed, you just go on to bed. Right. It just is what it is. You got on a certain type of clothes, you go to bed. You go out to the club, you put on club clothes. You go to the gym, you put on gym clothes, right? So to me, in each one of those particular situations, you're trying to present a package. Right. So you don't go to the club in your night clothes. Right. So why, right? Because that's not what you want to do. You don't go to the gym in your club clothes. Right. So to me, when we do this pose down, knowing how that's scored, to me, that is the particular time that because you already have posing routine. Posing routine should have been all of the fancy stuff. You see what I'm saying? That is what that's for. You see what I'm saying? To do all those things, get down. That's just me, right? Because to me, that's your club scene, right? Now, you know, but let's bring it back. So now when you go to the pose down, it's no longer the club scene. Now you're at the gym, right? So now you're trying to show your structure. You're trying to show crisp, clean lines. You're trying to make sure everything's contracted. You're trying to give the judges a good, accurate comparison. So a good, accurate look so they can compare you versus the other. Right. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like if you're doing your flowing, your posing routine or anything similar to that, that doesn't necessarily show your structure as much as it does. Well, it doesn't show the quality of muscle the way that you would want to depict it, right? Because your posing routine is supposed to be flowy. It's just really for aesthetics. You see what I'm saying? But when you're actually in the game, right, you want to make sure that you're showing clean lines, clean structures. You see what I'm saying? So they can really accurately compare you. So to me, that is where I look at it. It's like, okay, we're in a certain situation where you have to make sure that the judges get an accurate look at you versus the other guy. You see what I mean? And I don't think you can really do that with some of those particular poses, right? That I think are meant for routine. You see what I'm saying? Like I say, you don't put on your club clothes to go to the gym, right? You don't. Makes right? Sense to me. So pose down, that's the gym.
Analogies.
Pose down, that's the gym. If you want to go to the club, that's your posing routine. Simple. That's your opportunity to do that, right? Because you're not being judged against anybody else. You're being judged on yourself. How much effort you put into your routine. You know, how much flow, how much, you know, how graceful can you be? You know, are you mobile with that level of muscle? You see what I'm saying? Like, they're judging you on that stuff, right? But I'm definitely not gonna like try and do a posing routine style
pose down.
Doing the pose down, right? You know.
How you gonna say, Nick, you take the lead and then be like, hold on.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was like, I think he just wanted to do that bicep.
Yeah.
But it was okay either way. I got the medal.
Good job. Okay. I like the women's.
You like the women's one too? Yeah, that lady. So his funny thing is his girlfriend come in the back and she grabbed him out of the back. She's like, "We gotta go." I'm like, "Why you say that?" She's like, "Those women out there, they getting down." She's like, "It is lit."
I like to do
so women. I had to go. I put my stuff on. I went
down. Get knocked out.
I said, "I'm about to go."
I did like theirs.
But they sound like they had some really good music and stuff playing. Like when I went over, I was going out there, gonna sit out there, and I got a text from my coach, and he's like, "I need some pictures and stuff for you go back up there." But that's when I called you out, so I actually didn't end up watching. We ended up going to the back and taking pictures for the coach.
But yeah, I like the women's. Like, of course I like the men's, of course, but the women's, although it is like business as usual still, like just as much so as the men's, it's a little more flair. Like, it's a little more fun. They have like their sparkly bikini on, their makeup and hair is like all pretty, and they're like, their poses aren't as just like stiff and like just there, you know. They do a little bit more of like, you know, zhuzh and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun to watch theirs. But make no mistake, they don't play no games, because one chick did a posing routine where she literally, like, she came out in these 6-inch heels, she dropped into a split and started doing push-ups with one arm. Like, legit.
I wonder could we
so I was like, oh, you know what?
Because I didn't actually see it.
It was the one. She was the one that was in the hotel room.
Yeah, that's right.
She didn't play any games. Like, it was crazy.
And she looked like a pro too.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell she was. She held herself like one. And that was one of the biggest difference I noticed. Even with the other guy, I noticed that the one I was performing against, the pro, really, really professional, man. Like you could tell they were pros.
Right.
Just a different level, of how they handled themselves,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, both guys I went against, I think they did really, really good. Though I really do. I was quite surprised on the men's physique too. When I seen one of the guys perform on the men's physique, quite naturally. I mean, he went against me in bodybuilding. I knew that kind of wasn't his thing, but when I seen him in men's physique, it gave me a different outlook on him.
Yeah.
On like his physique, because it really showed off, his structure,
Mm-hmm.
his quality of muscle, and what fit his overall, appearance on the stage. And I think it really helped him a lot.
Mm-hmm. What's happening here? Because I thought she was going to come and do her routine right after.
I don't know why he walked up there. Because I think that went into classic. They battled it out in the classic. Okay, let's see. Because she just
did that. But she did compete in 2 categories, so it may have been before that one.
Yeah, because I think he said they didn't have to do their routine twice if you was like doing another category.
Mm-hmm. Where was she when she did that routine?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Because it would have had to be like right after mine.
Did she do a routine? I'm trying to think.
But I think like overall though, like even like every competitor there is like, when you go to these shows that these people like they study some of this stuff, they look up on it, because even the ones that wasn't pros, how they handled themselves was really well. It's like you would think that eventually they will become a pro,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because here's the thing about being a pro. It's more than just the body, right? And like, the aesthetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, it's how you look, but part of it too is how you handle yourself on stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way you present yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I think has a lot to do with it also, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when you actually hit a pose and you're locked in that pose, and when you come out of that pose, which is key, your transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not weird, right? And you don't just turn, right? There's a way
Mm-hmm.
to turn. You see what I'm saying? Like that's part of professionalism.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And even the ones who wasn't pros did really well at that stuff, right? So I would imagine that at some point, probably not all of them, but a good portion of them will eventually become pros.
Yeah.
Because physiques were, just about all the physiques were on the money, man. It was kind of what I expected,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They came lean. Like I wasn't expecting anything extreme because I know this is natural.
Right.
And quite naturally at a natural level, this is still it. This is good. Like, look at the back, the level of leanness that the women have in the back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, look at the hamstrings, right? So like all of that stuff, it matters, right? So they're not skipping leg day. You know what I'm saying?
Women don't skip leg day.
No, they don't.
We don't skip
Only
legs.
men.
We don't skip glutes.
Only men skip those, huh?
Right.
I don't skip those.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was trying to get to that point.
I feel like it was maybe when she went up against your teammate or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Towards the end. No, it wasn't towards the end. I don't know what her routine is.
Let's see.
So it was after these girls.
Right here.
Is it her routine though?
I think this is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like this is what I'm saying. When you
okay.
So this is what I'm saying. Like when you get into like these routines right here, right?
I think this is just her. What you call it right now?
See, this is to me, and this is me, right? At this time, I would minimize. This is personal. This is me though. I would minimize the mandatory poses when you're out there doing your own posing routine. I would minimize how many of those you do.
I don't think this is her routine yet. I think they just because her routine, she came out, she immediately started dancing.
Really?
Yeah.
But this may be her routine time on another, what's the name, right? Because I heard them say that, so there's different types of stage routines. You can do a stage walk also.
Yeah.
And so like you don't have to do a routine per se, as in like actual choreographed movements.
Mm-hmm.
You can do mandatory poses on a stage walk. You just walk to certain areas of the stage, and they'll allow you to do that.
Yeah.
So that may be her posing routine time frame, but in another bracket, and she just chose to do the walk. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, it has to be further down then.
Yeah, because he popped up here. They popped up here and did this. Cause see them guys didn't come back out.
Okay, so I think it may have been after this one. I think that is because she did a routine and that lady did one.
That's right. So she's actually, so this is her routine in a different category, and she chose to do a stage walk. Is what that was.
Well, this was her actual. When she came out, she was the only one. So this was her actual. They was telling her to do poses then, but she was the only one in it.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the only one.
Okay, I got you. So I got you. She was the only one in that bracket. This is the lady I was talking about that she, like her midsection was freaking money. Like look at her midsection. It is money. It's money. You can tell she's older, but her midsection was money, and I didn't realize that it didn't look as good last year.
Yeah.
Because the guy said that. I mean, I wasn't there personally. He said that. He said like your midsection, you need to work on it, and he said you come in this year and you did also like your midsection is freaking tight. So here we go.
Yeah.
So I mean that goes to show you, that tells you that these people are like, they working, right? Yeah, she instantly, like she's already in action pose, right? Yeah, she's, and then she looks good. I mean, midsection, everything is good, it's tight. But see, like those type of things right there, you see like how she's like, it's all choreographed, right?
I can't remember what song she was doing this to.
But yeah, see, this is the time where you do that, right? And she's doing really good. But I think if you try to take these poses into a pose down, it's gonna be tough, right? You see what I'm saying? Because you hide certain areas of the body, right? You don't really want anything hidden. Yeah, right here. Is it? Yeah. Yeah. She's doing good.
You gotta see it live.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Some of it, yeah. I mean, you know when it goes quiet, and somebody's like, they're really doing good, right?
And the thing is, it wasn't completely quiet. Like people were screaming.
I mean us just then. You know how we went quiet when we was looking at it. But I think it was really good. Overall, I think it was a good show. Then that was our pose down. Yeah. Overall, I think it was a really good show. I think it was a really good experience. So when I guess let's talk about this. So when me and the pro were brought together after the comparison, after the pose down, I wanted to see if I can get the audio in there. Why does it
This
sound
seems so low, huh?
Okay, let me drag this thing because
On the YouTube video.
So what are you thinking when we got to find out who's gonna win? He's about to present the winner.
First of all, he was taking a long time to say who it was, but that's when I was talking all my stuff over there. So I was like, y'all know who did it? Okay, so I was like recording, and that video was trash. Like I was supposed to be recording when he got the medal and all that stuff. Like as soon as they said he got it, I was like jumped up and I was clapping and stuff, and the video was like shaking. I was like, dang, I didn't even get it. Luckily his sister was recording too, but my video was trash when he got this one because I was like jumping up and down and stuff.
All right.
Excuse me, give me some room. All right.
Well, it's pretty good though. It was good though. But yeah, he came with it though. The pro was good, man. I don't know. I feel like when I looked over at him, I knew he was definitely a pro though because he like all his poses looked like he was just locked in.
Yeah.
Like he was just locked, right? And that's one of the things I noticed too is like the pros when they're posing, it's like I guess they've had so much practice that when they do their poses, they're pretty much locked into that pose, right? Because one of the hardest things to do when you're contracting all those muscles is to stay. And when we say locked, we mean the muscle is contracted, but it's used to being under that level of contraction for that length of time. So it doesn't cause you to appear to shake on stage, right? So you're not struggling to hold the pose. And I think some of those that you could really see that in the pros is that when they actually did their actual like pose, they were really locked in. Like when I looked over at him, he didn't look like he was shaking at all. I was like, this son gun is locked in, boy. He's locked. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, I'm trying. I'm sweating. I'm dying. I'm just hoping they saying, hey man, turn to the right, quarter turn to the right. I'm like, woo, tell me to move or something, get out of this thing. But I think overall, I think I did good still. I still think I was able to lock them in for the most part, but it just seems like the effort, it was a little bit more, It was a little bit easier for them to do it just because I think for the length of time that they've been practicing it, that's all. But I think it was really well. But overall, I don't know. I think from my standpoint, I think it was a really good show. First experience was fun. I enjoyed the entire process, and I think it was even from the preparatory standpoint of it, I think it was fun. And it was really neat to see all of your hard work that you put in manifest on stage. And then to have it turn out where you actually win and get a pro card was just amazing to me. I think it was a really good feeling to be able to do it because it's like all your hard work paid off. So to do a show another show is definitely something I plan on doing.
Right.
So overall, your final takes?
Final takes. Get ready for 2022.
I say the same thing. We're going to make them work in 2022. So, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're going to make more of these because I plan on doing more shows. But we're going to definitely make more videos, more podcasts. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
All right, y'all. We out.